everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tackling a seriously massive leap forward in modernizing mobile UI components. I mean, if you've spent any time working on mobile application design, you already know that building the interface often takes just as much, if not more, effort than coding the actual underlying logic. So today, we're going to completely change how you handle one of the absolute most common UI elements out there, the action sheet.
Let's just be real for a second. Are you tired of building clunky, cross-platform menus entirely from scratch? Creating custom, native-feeling pop-ups that actually look good on every single device is a massive headache. You know the drill. You tweak the padding for Android, and suddenly your iOS layout is completely broken. Or you try to add a modern frosted glass effect, and out of nowhere, your app's performance just tanks. It's a frustrating, time-consuming loop, and honestly, it distracts you from building your app's core features. Well, it's time to fix that. Enter the B4X DaisyActionSheet. What you can achieve here is a beautifully sleek, finished product with absolutely zero hassle, fully equipped with vibrant DaisyUI styling. We're talking bright, customized buttons, perfectly rounded corners, and that overall premium feel. This is exactly what users expect when they open a modern app today. And the absolute best part? You don't need to write a mountain of custom rendering code to get there. Now, a massive highlight here is the 100% Ionic V8 parity. The B4X DaisyActionSheet isn't just some random customized menu. It's built strictly to standard-compliant 2026 UI specifications, meaning right out of the box, your B4 apps are getting world-class, rigorously tested design geometries. It's a sleek, cross-platform component that drastically reduces your boilerplate code, all while instantly elevating your app's level of professionalism. So here's our zero-to-hero roadmap for today. We're going to meet the Daisy Action Sheet, compare iOS and material design, check out the translucent glass effect, explore styling with DaisyUI themes, and finally, dive into the developer API experience. All right, Section 1. Let's officially meet the Daisy Action Sheet and look at its baseline capabilities. Just adding a clean menu with custom SVG icons and a crisp subheader, something like media settings at the top, instantly elevates the user experience miles above those boring standard OS alerts. It creates a really clear visual hierarchy. Your users know exactly what they're looking at and what actions are available, complete with visual cues like a colored camera icon or a bold red cancel button. It's just incredibly intuitive.
Moving on to Section 2, iOS versus material design, and how this component handles platform-specific design languages automatically.
The duality here is pretty amazing to see in action. For your Android deployments, you've got that classic material design, and then it effortlessly shifts over to a native-feeling iOS mode. It goes right from the flat, edge-to-edge aesthetic of material design to the floating, rounded layout of iOS. You don't have to build two separate UI components anymore. The action sheet handles all that translation for you. Let's actually break down those structural differences. In material design mode, you get a bottom-attached solid surface, perfectly flush edges, and standard left-aligned text. But switch over to iOS mode, and the geometry completely transforms. You get an inset floating surface, heavily rounded corners, a distinctly detached cancel button at the bottom, and centerline text. And the real beauty of this, setting a single property, literally just typing mode iOS, reconfigures all of these layout rules automatically. It's almost like magic. All right, Section 3, the translucent glass effect, which is arguably one of the most highly requested aesthetic features right now. So the crucial point here is just one single line of code. Translucent equals true. It is incredibly powerful. By toggling just this one Boolean property, you unlock a premium frosted aesthetic that works beautifully in both iOS and material modes. There are absolutely no complex rendering engines or custom drawing libraries required on your end. The resulting frosted glass UI overlay is just stunning. It lets the application's background elements, like other buttons on the screen, subtly bleed through the menu's surface. It provides depth and context to the user without being visually overwhelming. It's a highly sophisticated look, achieved with practically zero effort. On to Section 4, Styling with DaisyUI Themes, where we explore how to inject color to match any brand identity. With this component, developers are absolutely not locked into boring static defaults. The B4XD Daisy Action Sheet utilizes really powerful DaisyUI color variants. You have access to semantic tokens like primary, secondary, and accent, alongside feedback colors like info, success, warning, and error. You can manipulate the surface colors from base 100 to base 300. You can apply these globally to the text and button colors. Or, if you want to get granular, you can use per button customization to completely override the global theme. And you know, the customization doesn't even stop at the buttons. You can pull off a fantastic visual trick using the backdrop opacity property. By aggressively dimming the background elements, say setting the opacity to 0.7, the bright, themed menu is forced to pop forward, completely demanding the user's focus. It's a fantastic tool for those critical selections where you really need to minimize all background distractions. Okay, Section 5, the Developer API Experience. Now that we're visually bought in, let's see how this actually builds out in developer reality. Implementing these modern specs is wonderfully straightforward. It's a clean, elegant four-step process. First, you initialize the component and its callback. Second, you use Add button to define the ID, the text, the role, like cancel or destructive, and the icon. Third, and this is brilliant for dynamic apps, you use Set button data to attach specific data payloads right to those buttons. Finally, you simply call Present to display the action sheet. 4 easy steps to a world-class UI. It really is that simple. Let's take a quick look at the visual designer properties. You can easily toggle things like backdrop dismiss and button ghosted directly in your UI designer, but I really want to highlight the keyboard close property, which actually defaults to true. This tiny setting automatically dismisses the device keyboard when the action sheet is presented. This saves you from having to write custom IME event handlers and dealing with annoying keyboard layout overlaps. It's those little quality-of-life developer features that make this component such a joy to use. Once your menu is on screen, handling the user's choice is totally seamless thanks to standard feedback events. You've got hooks for when the sheet presents and dismisses, but the real magic happens in did dismiss and button click. These events return the specific role, so you know right away if they hit cancel or click the background, and they instantly return the data payloads you attached earlier. This allows you to effortlessly route data back to your core application logic based on exactly what the user tapped. Here's a perfect use case for these properties working together, a mandatory selection sheet. With backdrop dismiss set to false, if the user taps the dark background, nothing happens. They are absolutely forced to make a choice, either accept terms or decline. You then capture that exact selection in the did dismiss event. It's a rock-solid way to handle mandatory compliance or critical user decisions without any loopholes. To sum it all up, the B4XD Daisy Action Sheet represents massive time savings, sleek modern design, and a truly native feel, all packaged into one single component. It completely bridges the gap between complex 2026 UI requirements and the developer efficiency you need to actually ship your products on time. Which leaves us with one final thought to ponder today. Are your app's interfaces actually ready for the 2026 UI specifications? Because if you're still hard-coding standard OS alerts or battling clunky cross-platform padding, well, it might just be time to rethink your toolkit and give your users the premium experience they really deserve. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy coding.